welcome to the Global Business Talk Show. It's always a pleasure to bring you the expert. And today I will tell you that I have a choice to have my guest either speak Creole or English. But I think what she's going to be talking about is going to be very useful for both brown and black community. So we will be playing this on WAVS as well so that the folks in the community know what's going on. Today, I will have you meet Linda Joseph. She's Haitian. She was born in Haiti and she was raised in Miami. Wherever I go, wherever I've been going for the past couple of years, I always see Linda. Then I wonder, is she an advocate? Is she just a passionate person? So today we're gonna talk about what her passion is, what she's been doing in the community. And I know that Linda had earned a bachelor's in political science. So maybe that's where she gets her passion. Good morning and welcome to the Global Business Talk Show. How are you, Linda?
I'm quite well. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor, truly, because wherever I see there are great things happening, you always on the table. How do you manage to be on a table?
No, I just want to be where, my people of voice is heard. I want to be in the action because I always truly believe like if you're not a part of the conversation, you're part of the dinner. And
Uh,
I'm tired of being a part of someone dinner. I really want us to have an active voice in everything that's happening in our community.
you are so humble saying that. I would say that my answer to the question that I asked you was that you're a very important person in the community and people need to hear what you have to say because your heart is for the community. So since you're always advocating for them, so people have to know the side of the people. So you say that you were driven by Martin Luther King's quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere."
Ugh.
So, as somebody who studied political science from, I think, the Florida Memorial
Yep.
uh,
College.
College, yes. So, what are your feelings about injustice in general? And we're gonna try to not make it so huge. We're gonna talk about South Florida, Miami, and Broward because that's where I see you. But I know you go to Washington and Tallahassee as well.
You know when you said that quote, it just gave me chills up my spine and just gave me a fuzzy feeling. I am a true lover of Dr. King and his
Mhm.
teaching, his word, who he was, what he represent. And as I mark the 53 years of his death, it still saddens me that today in 2001, I'm still fighting for what he was fighting back in 68.
Hmm.
So
What
yeah.
What do you think we're still fighting for the same thing we were fighting 40, 50 years ago?
In 1968, April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated in Tennessee. The night before, he came to fight and stand with sanitation workers
Mm.
who said they're a man and they need to earn a living so they could feed their family. At the
Mhm.
time, they were making $3.48.
Mm.
So Dr. King marched with them and said that, you know, that's another form of suppression. That's another form of declassification and really holding down the whole community. It's not paying them significantly enough to live.
Mm.
So that's why Dr. King went down there in Tennessee. And he knew it was dangerous. And he did. And then the
Mhm.
night after he went there, he stood with sanitation workers. He was murdered in 1968. And that's what, 53 years? And I'm still fighting for minimum wage in this country.
Well, should we be fighting for minimum wage or for a livable wage? Because it seems to me as if whenever they tell us that we're gonna earn a raise or earn a little more money, then they double the prices of gas and food and lodging, because I'm feeling as though there are parts of the country where people are earning 13, $15 an hour to work at McDonald's because the price of rent is high. So why should it be any different in South Florida?
No, no, it's not only, it's not that that rate went high. It's just we advocated and we protested and we stomped and we places like New York and places like Seattle, places like California would had
Mhm,
a coincidence have Democratic governors and Democratic legislators.
mhm,
Understand that if you don't pay a living wage or you don't pay people enough, they cannot live. Crime is higher. The cost of living is harder.
mhm.
Education is lower. It's just it has a straight correlation with it.
Now, I see that your passion is still there, and as you're talking about Martin Luther King, it seems to me as if you're reliving it like you were there yesterday. And I know that when you were in college, you started an alliance, a student alliance. How are you able to work with people to get them to go out and lobby and advocate and fight for their rights?
The great thing about what I've learned in the past is that you have to meet people where they're at. A lot
Okay.
of I remember I work for the union, so a lot of our members are people in fast food,
Hmm.
lower part of the income, not that
Bracket.
engaged in
Hmm.
politics. And so, what brings me so much joy and so much passion is when I can start educating them, explain to them, this is what's going on, this is what happened, and then you see their eyes just lighten up because they purposely don't put what they're doing out there,
Hmm.
so people will know. But once we start educating them, that's when you have an educated voter, you have an activist, and you have people who want to fight with you because they know injustice is injustice everywhere you turn it.
I see that you stopped me when I start talking about politics, but I know that was your major, and then you said that you believe in grassroots activism. So these days, you just say that you are working for the SEIU.
Correct. The
How
largest
can,
labor union in the country.
yeah, amen. And considering that Florida is a work at will state, I think it's a great thing that you are here in Florida and that people need to understand that they have a union and they have somebody who could advocate for you. So if somebody is listening to me right now, what would you tell them? Because I've heard um at the airport, for example, that many people are working and they never want to pay the union dues.
What I would tell them that the union is not me, and the union is not my boss. The union
Mhm,
is not my colleagues. The union is you. The union is you and your coworkers and your colleagues come together and say what you want collectively. Because collectively, your voice is louder than everything.
mhm,
Nothing cannot happen without the workforce. So remember, this is your power. This is your voice. You can advocate for vacation pay. You can advocate for insurance. You can advocate for better working condition. You can advocate for better pay. So the union is you. We don't want to help facilitate and organize it, but the union is your union. You tell us what you want us to advocate for, and this is what we push for. And we make sure the rules and the regulation is held by. We hold them by labor laws. There's actual labor laws in this country that that employees cannot just trample over you,
mhm,
and we have to sometimes remind them, sometime with our lawyers about labor laws. So you still have rights in this country,
mhm.
and we teach you how to exercise it.
And also know that you work with the refugees. Is that still part of the same movement, the grassroots movement? Because a lot of time the people who are refugees, they are seeking political asylum in this country. Are those the people that are most exploited?
Absolutely. And let me tell you, my mom is a refugee. My aunt, my uncle, we are refugees. We are the diaspora who came
Mhm,
from another country. So I have an obligation. I have the right. My mom came from this country back in 1972 on a boat. So my mom is the quintessential story of the
mhm,
American dream and coming here looking for a better life.
mhm. Indeed. When your mom came to this country and then as a young person you were growing and you started volunteering, um, was it something that she accepted or were you fight why were you fighting with her and says, well, I need to volunteer, I need to know what's going on, I need to be in the forefront and understand how this country works?
No, no, on the contrary, my mom was a way too. My mom was right out there. I never forgot the day when the CDC had said that we, the Haitian, brought the AIDS,
Hey,
and we were protesting. We was out there, and I was skipping school. And who I run into? The first person I run into is my mother.
oh my God.
So I have advocacy in my blood.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. You say that your credo is to live out the tenets espoused in Psalm 82nd verses 3, where it says, "We are called to defend the cause of the oppressed, to seek justice, and to correct the oppressor." In your volunteering experience, how do you feel that we have moved forward? Let's say
You
you've been volunteering for 20 years. What do you feel that has been accomplished for us as a community, for the Black and Brown or the Haitian?
what I've seen is now we can call it out, right? Now we can see it. It's clear. It's not ambiguous anymore. Years ago we used to say, well, we can feel the oppression. You can feel it. You just could not point it out. Now you can just clearly point it out.
Hmm.
Because what happened with our oppressors now is that they gotten bold and they're showing us their hand. So we can show you exactly systemic racism. When you paying someone, let's do the math. Everything lies but numbers, right? Do the
Hmm.
math. When you paying someone dollars, $8.40, how are they possibly could live on that? Not
Hmm.
even a single person. There was an article written in Time magazine or Newsweek. I forget which one, which publication. They're saying there's no way in the whole United States you could live on federal minimum wage and live. So
Wow.
numbers don't lie. So if you're telling me, if you know, and this politician know that you cannot live on $8.40, why they continue doing it? Because they want to have a second class citizen. They want to keep a certain class of people oppressed.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And
that's what we've accomplished is really pointing it out.
and I think now more so people realize by making $8 an hour, barely maybe $1,000, when having a one bedroom apartment is probably $1,500 if you want to live in a decent place, or
Listen
maybe
to
you
me.
have to.
Even decent
Chez
place.
Dios, mes amis.
What the decent, even non-decent place, ubaka afford. Even non-decent, even
Well,
places with moles and holes in the wall, and rats and roaches, you cannot afford on $8.40,
so,
which
so
is inhumane as an American and living in this country.
and we keep on saying this is the greatest country on earth. So you're not making enough money, therefore you don't have a place to live. Probably cannot afford to have insurance. Transportation in Florida is not the best. So I'm assuming that those people are also not eating properly.
Come on.
Therefore, they have the chances of having comorbidity, other diseases that
Absolutely.
are just gonna make it worse, because at $8 an hour, if you are actually paying for your own insurance, you're bringing less at home.
Absolutely. And the thing is that host and Miss Jenna, you got to understand they work for the second largest. A lot of them work for the second largest employer of the world. They work for McDonald's. I didn't say the country. I said the second largest employer of the world. McDonald's is in every continent in this world, right? So you
Yes.
tell me they work for $1 billion corporation, but nevertheless, they get paid $8.40
Wow.
and sometimes less. They're in all, if you look, do the survey. Soit in the Kenzon, kote gen pi for mounoir, wap toujou au McDonald's. Ou pa bwe Whole Food, ou pa bwe Publix, ou
Trader
pa bwe
Joe's.
Starbucks, but wap toujou au McDonald's.
Yeah. So now, who should we actually call out? Would we should we go after McDonald, or should we go after the federal
You should,
government?
it's a combination of everyone.
Hmm.
And in a case like that, everyone gets it. The federal government knows better. McDonald knows better. The lobbyists know better. The cornfield knows better. Everyone knows better.
Yeah.
Because, like I tell you, Jenna, everything could lie, but numbers do not lie.
Numbers do
Numbers
not.
are concrete.
Yeah.
Do the math.
And now we move forward to COVID,
Oh,
and people are losing their jobs.
yes.
There's only so much the union could do for those people,
No, we
and they
fought. We fought for PPEs. We fought for essential workers. Like if
okay.
you're going to have our members out here working, you will have them protected. You will
Yes.
have them with the proper mask. You would have them with the proper sanitizer, and you will abide by CDC laws. That's why I say the unions are very important because
Hmm.
we really held them accountable and paid them for their sick days.
And pay them for their sick days as well,
Yes,
because many
absolutely.
people had lost their jobs, had been sick, sorry, with COVID, and they could have lost their job if they were not part of the if the unions, I would say, would not wasn't fighting for them.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Listen, had it not been for the union, there's a lot of things they would have got away with. You know, these companies definitely do not want to pay. And if we don't shame them and we don't hold them accountable,
Hmm.
they will not do right by people. That's why we have to continue educating our people, understand the power of voting, power of advocating, power of going out and protesting and saying
Hmm.
enough is enough. We're hardworking Americans and we deserve to be treated such. We're not animals.
Yeah. Now we move a little forward past COVID. I know that you were very active during the election.
Yes.
So tell us a great story about the election.
Oh, great start. What I could tell
You had
you.
many great stories. I know you were
Ah,
nominated.
I had a very good. Listen, I love the debates. I love when Joe Biden came down here to South Florida and he
Hmm.
came and he met with the Haitian community. Just a sense of pride. I had a great opportunity to meet Senator, well now
Right.
VP, Madam President.
Hmm.
Had a great
Whatever.
we had a wonderful conversation. She also too supported the $15 minimum wage
Hmm.
hike. So yeah, we had some great moments. And one of my best moments is when I heard then Vice President Joe Biden, now President Joe Biden, really advocate for the minimum wage, the raising of the minimum wage, and recognize that we have to do right by our Americans. And when he made that speech and said he will remember that how we organized and got him elected. And I
Hmm.
was part of that coalition of Black women who said, no, enough is enough. We will self organize and we're going to do what we need to do.
Well, when I ask you about your best moment, I think you said it as a matter of fact, and you forget to say that you were a nominee for the Democratic Party, weren't you?
I was,
Okay, so
I
now
was.
go ahead, go ahead. Let's talk about that.
I was a nominee for the convention, and of course, you know, COVID or ruined all that. But I did get elected as a delegate. It was my very first election, and I won overwhelmingly. And so I'm so proud of that, because I just wanted to make sure we had a voice. Listen, I am a true proud. Listen, I am Little Haiti. I am from Little Haiti. I'm a product of Little Haiti. So I wanted to make sure Little Haiti and all my ancestors came with me to the convention and make sure our voice is being heard. Like I said, with COVID, we wasn't there in the person, but we was there with Zoom calls, and so they heard about our. I told them about our immigration woes. I told them about living conditions. I told them about what's going on in the border, what's going on in Haiti. So our voices was definitely heard, and I think it was one of the reason that not the vice president came too, but I think that's why President Joe Biden came down to Little Haiti personally.
Yeah. A lot of history between those two countries. I must tell you that I'm very proud of you for being nominated. I'm very proud of you for the work that you are also doing in the community. But explain to somebody who doesn't understand what a delegate does. What is the role of a delegate?
The role of the delegate is that we come with our issues, we come with our stories about our community. I was elected as the 24th congressional delegate, so I
Mhm.
came as whoever has Frederica Wilson, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, as a congresswoman. I came with her stories. I was her delegate. I
Mhm.
was the representative from my community, and my job it was to come up with our issues and how we could come up with solutions, and we craft the convention bylaws of what we're going to be discussing and what we're going to tackle.
Okay. Okay. So, did you have to run a campaign to be a delegate?
A full-fledged campaign.
You're
But
kidding me.
yeah, and because of COVID, it got changed a lot, and then we had to change up the strategy. The thing about the delegate, a lot of and that's one of the things I'm so proud of. I did not only reached out to like seasoned politician or seasoned people who's involved. I got ordinary people who've never got involved in the process. I got
Hmm.
them to vote. I got them to educate them about it on what's going on and what's this is what happens and this is what happened. So that's what I am mostly proud of. I had ordinary people who have never got involved in politics got excited. So, yep.
So you were looking forward this summer to go door to doors, knocking on people's door,
Yes.
asking them about their story. Did you get a chance to do that at all? I mean,
Not
even with COVID, not as much as you wanted.
not as much as we want, but I had a good friend of mine who she was working with the census, so I went with her, and we followed the bylaws. So it gave me a great opportunity to meet my community and knock on their doors and tell them, I'm here. I ran for delegate, and so that went really well. Listen, I am a beast on the streets. I love field work.
Yes, I
I
do
love
too.
talking to voters. I love telling them, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. It is my passion. It's my life passion. So yeah, I really do enjoy knocking on doors and really talking to people.
Great. You're a voice to the voiceless, and we're
Yeah,
happy to have you because when you hear other people's story, I think it brings more empathy, more compassion towards other people's struggles. Because oftentimes I tell myself that the people in Washington probably don't know what's going on in Little Haiti, in Boynton Beach, in Delray Beach, in Deerfield Beach, where most of our communities they are living, and they don't know how to make ends meet. Now,
absolutely.
past the election.
Okay.
So were you scared for the result? Were you like, I worked so hard, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. You always listen. Every time you run for a campaign, you want to win, and then you want to know that your message resonate. You want to know that you made a difference, and
Mhm,
so yeah, you get nervous, and then I got the call that I won. We ran with a slate of people, and
mhm.
I think I got the highest vote or the second highest, something like that. But it makes you feel good. That means that you said something that touches someone, and so that gives you an indication that you're doing the right thing or you're saying the right thing.
Was that your first election? Your first
First election.
campaign?
First
Okay.
election.
Well, I'm gonna ask you a personal question. I never ran for anything, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna win one for something. But do you feel that as passionate as you were prior to getting involved to all this, then you go and run for that campaign? How do you think you would have felt if you had lost? Would you continue still working for the community, or would you be like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore?
No, no, no. I listen. Elected or not elected, I'll say maybe the stories it wasn't resonate, or maybe I didn't do something in the campaign. Listen, advocacy is a 24 hours. Even if you get elected or you don't, advocacy is in my blood. That's what I am here to do. I am the voice of the voiceless, like you said. You listen. I remember being 7 years old or 8 years old filling out paperwork for my mom who couldn't read or write English.
Mhm.
So, like I said, it's what I'll do for the rest of my life.
The reason why I ask you this question is because it also often saddened me that I see people that I think are great, and maybe they don't have your passion, and they run for office, and when things go south or they didn't win, they don't look at it as maybe it wasn't the timing, or maybe I need to do more, or maybe the community still need me. They just totally quit, and I feel like telling them you gotta go back. But then I think it's also not my place to tell them they have to go back, because I don't know how much of their heart that they pour into this. So I'm glad that you clear that up, because I don't think that you would have quit what you're doing in general for the community, whether you had won or not, because your heart is in the right place. And I
No,
think
no,
you see that.
absolutely. Listen, I don't need to win an election. I don't need to be looked upon. I just want to see good legislation, right? I want to
Hmm.
see good things happen to the people, people who've been suffering for so long, people that you see the mummies on the bus stop that takes 2 bus or 3 bus a day. I want to see they get a raise. I want them to be able to pay their bills and not PSC and Colin, so they can write. That's my reward. When we start passing good, meaningful legislation, like we want Amendment 2. And what we did, we pushed the politicians aside because sometimes politicians are not even here to support us or even to do what we need to do. So what we did with Amendment 2, we pushed them aside. We gathered ballot initiative and we got it on the ballot and said, you know what? People of the state of Florida deserve a raise. And that's
As
what we did.
as a delegate, do you have to go to Tallahassee? Must you understand everything about the bills that they are passing, and how the whole system of the Senate and the representative of the state work?
Being a delegate is on the federal level, right?
Okay.
So I was a delegate for the convention. So I had a
Okay.
part of the convention, the conversation with the convention. When we nominate a nominee for the Democratic Party, we have
Mm-hmm.
what's called a convention every 4 years. And
Mm-hmm.
so as I was a delegate for the convention. So we
Okay.
are the one who says what the platform is going to be at. What are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about healthcare for all? Are we going to talk about immigration? Are we going to talk about DACA? So that's what we have the conversation around. So I was on a federal level, not on the state level.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad to know that because things need to change. So recently, as passionate as you are, as much as you do, being the voice, and I'm sure that you up early in the morning,
Ugh,
whether you're knocking on door for when it's election time or when it's not election time, you going out there to fight for the people. And I had a conversation with a friend of yours, a friend of mine
okay,
as well, and she said that it's something that resonated with me. She says, if the biggest mouth in the room could get help for the people, let us be that biggest mouth.
that's it.
And this is none other than Sheila Sheffield McCormick, who is the
Come,
co-founder with you of
yes,
Essential Community Health. I
yes.
am uh, I guess if you had seen my interview with her, because I said I have to make sure that I get Linda's side of what's going on with Essential. I'm so excited that I mean, to see young girls, I mean, like you and Sheila, have such passion. How did Essential Health, Community Health come about? I mean, I know you two girls, you started working and you make something big happen. What was something that triggered you to say, we need to do something?
We always knew there was always disparity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And COVID blew it wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Just completely just bust the doors out and said, listen, black and brown people are dying at record numbers, especially with comorbidities and COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you sit back, and then I have a good friend of mine who owns a funeral home, and
Mm-hmm.
he said that on one week in the summer, he said on a normal day he'll have maybe two or three funerals.
Mm-hmm.
One summer, one week in the summer, he had 53 people.
What?
53 people.
One funeral home.
One funeral home, one week.
Oh my God.
And that broke my heart in a million pieces.
Oh my God.
And it broke my heart for so many reasons, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
another thing he told me, he said some of them come from the same family,
Wow.
and most of them was all COVID related, and
Hmm.
I knew that we could do something about it. 2020 was a horrible year for us as a people, as a country, as a community. We watched people die just left and right, and I felt helpless and I felt muted. And I was like, no, I don't ever want to feel like that again. So if I can do something where we can rally the people together and let's get help for our people so we can avoid this pandemic and really start really healing our community and really
Hmm.
get them the help they need, that's what we're going to start doing. So, and that's why me and Sheila started speaking. We spoke to other Black women, other women that are professional lawyers or doctors, and they said, yes, let's do this. And that's how it came about. Just us want to heal our community, us want to give back to our community, us want to bring resources back to our community. Because, in the advance of medicine and medical, there's so much advancement is made that when people can really overcome a lot of these diseases, but we just got to make sure our people are plugged in.
Indeed, and I have to tell you, um, congratulations, because I remember receiving a call maybe a few weeks after you guys spoke, and within 2 weeks, what I've seen you being able to do, and you are so right. In our community, there's so many things that we don't have access to. Um, Little things that sometimes people take for granted. I
Yes.
often hear people say, "Oh, well, we had this commercial on TV, on Channel 7 or on Channel 10," assuming that most of us have or can afford, and I'm talking to you now, considering that we were talking about minimum wage, as if people can afford to pay $150 worth of cable.
Yes.
Those people are working two jobs. When do you actually think that they could hear that? And communicating this information, it's whether via WhatsApp or for them to hear it on the radio. I mean, you grew up in Miami.
I,
Didn't your mom radio
oh,
stay with her
I can still
everywhere
hear it
she
in my head as we
you
speak, morning, noon, and night. Oh,
could, you gotta be thankful because that helped you with your Creole. But really, because that's how we get this information. And it's true, we have to be culturally sensitive. I am so proud. What do you hope to accomplish with and you know, I thought it was funny that it was a bunch of women. I
yep,
said, where are the men? But I
yep,
know that you guys have men working in the background.
we do.
But the initiative, and Sheila explained it to me, it's about women taking care of their families.
Yes.
Because truly, as you are talking about your mom, and many people do not realize that us as a Caribbean, we have a multi-generational family where you live with probably your grandmother,
Yep.
your mom, and then you.
And your
So
aunt
you
and
need
your uncle.
exactly. So this information um, needs to be passed along, and you ladies are the one who usually take care of the men. Honey, you gotta go to the doctors because you've been coughing.
Yep.
Oh no, don't worry, I'm just fine. You know, you're the one who have to take your grandmother. You're the one who was just saying you had to translate for your mom.
Yep.
So that's something that I think is very important, and I must tell you that I'm very proud of you. So how do you see your baby with Sheila, only 2 months old? Well, now probably three. How do you see yourself in a year? What do you hope to accomplish? I know that you're trying to bring to close the gap of disparity. Um, and since it says community health, um, eventually would you bring other things? And the minimum wage could go into it, because I think that sometimes the reason why people are not keeping themselves healthy is because they cannot afford to eat the right food. They cannot afford to get themselves medication, have insurance.
No, no. What I see in 2 months is that the great thing about it is that we have fostered a relationship with the church,
Hmm.
really good relationship with the church, and I see in 2 months is that we're gonna grade our bond and bring the dignity back to the Black community, bring it back to the Brown community, and put health care back, and and have the church heal the community. And in the '60s, the civil rights was all the church, right?
Hmm.
And so that's what we want back, and we want to establish back into the church site where they get real information about, where is the health care, where's the doctor, and have, doctors and different specialists come out and speak to the people about what's going on and answer their question on all sorts of level, financial, in medical, and health, and just really restoring, because that was our backbone at one time. It was the Black churches, really to disseminate information, and with this relationship we've fostered, I think he'll come back.
Hmm. I will tell you that you're a trusted voice in the community. You already foster a great relationship. And when I think about those 11, how many women are you?
We have 12.
12 women. Oh, that 12 women. God, church, 12 disciples.
Yep.
Very good, ladies.
Yep.
But it's a very good thing that you guys, and I went through your bios, and I look up all those 12 women, and you are people that the community will trust and will help. What would I say? Will let help put in the right direction, because this community needs to heal
It does.
on so many levels.
Yes, and a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, and we need voices that we can trust, and we need the education, especially on the vaccination and the protection and the healthcare and good food and good eating. So yeah, so I am looking forward to doing the Lord's work. I just trust in God and His beliefs and what He wants me to do.
Can I put you on the spot and ask you if you would get vaccinated?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Me and my whole entire family. I've
What do you
already
mean
met
you and your entire family? Are you
me
gonna
and my
force
whole
them? You gonna walk them down?
Me and my whole entire family. I've already got my 80-year-old father vaccinated. His one vaccination. He will be getting his second one this Saturday. Absolutely. I've been vaccinated all my life. I do not believe that no federal government is trying to kill me. I think this is what we've been praying for this pandemic. And here our prayers have been answered. I just want to get back to normal and just get back to life. So, absolutely.
I truly feel your point, and I grew up in Haiti, and I moved here when I was 18. So I kept my trauma from Haiti, and
Yes.
and that the government is trying to kill us too. And a lot of people are sharing those ideas and those sentiments with us. But what I would say is you need to keep an open mind. What I would say to the people who feel like they should not be vaccinated, because just because that's how you used to think, but now let's say you're 85 years old, you have all those comorbidities,
Yeah.
and then they bring you the vaccine, and you want to be stuck in 1950s where you keep on saying the same thing of the government is trying to kill me. What would you be your words of wisdom for this community as we end the show today?
I say, my dear sister, my dear brother, we've been praying for a miracle. We've been praying for God to deliver us, and He's sent us in the form of a vaccination. We've been vaccinated all our lives. All our life, we've been getting vaccination, and we are here. I say, don't be afraid. If the government truly wanted to kill us, they would put it in order. They're not. We're here to live, we're here to breathe. And the pandemic is a thing of with the world. So if there is a remedy that can help us and save us, I tell you, get the education, talk to your doctor, talk to people you trust, and then you make a sound decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had today on the Global Business Talk Show Miss Linda Joseph. She's beautiful, she's fierce, she's passionate, she's a God fearing woman. So she just took me back to the Bible. And I could also tell that she's a reader. But I would tell you that she is a trusted voice in the community. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Linda. Thank you so
Thank,
much for being on the Global Business Talk Show.
thank you for all you do too, Jenna. Thank you for all what you do for the community.
Thank you. Until next time,
Good night, everybody.
good night.